This is La Pizarra, a place where we explore creative minds in the entertainment industry on both sides of the mic and the camera. Here is your host, Nicky Mondellini.
Welcome to another episode of La Pizarra. I'm your host, Nicky Mondellini, and I'm very happy that you're here. My guest is the talented Amelia Rico. Amelia is an Indigenous actress, writer, director, and she is also director of digital production at Main Street Theater in Houston. Amelia and I have collaborated in a few projects, and you can currently see her in season 1 of 1923, Dark Winds on AMC, Mo on Netflix, and more. Along with her husband, Art Ornelas, Amelia has built the award-winning multimedia production company, Ricornel Productions. But before we go on with the interview, I just want to remind you that all of the episodes of La Pizarra are available on nickymondellini.com/podcast and on lapizarrapodcast.com. In there, you can also sign up for our monthly newsletter, and you can get the transcriptions for most of the episodes. And now, without further ado, here is Amelia Rico. Amelia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello. Nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you. I'm just so happy to be able to talk to you today. I've had so many questions since I've seen your work on TV like nonstop for the past few years. It's great. So, but before we jump into all of that, I just want to hear. I mean, let's just go back to the beginning. You know, like how did you start? Because I mean, we met a few years ago in acting class, and we had a great scene together, and then we've collaborated.
I think it was like a decade ago.
Oh my gosh. Oh, please.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. You've since become a mom, and I mean, things have been going great. So, but anyway, how did it all start? Like little Amelia, when was the time when you got bitten by the acting bug?
Oh, it was very early on. I remember, and I tell this story quite often, so sorry if you've heard it before, but
That's good.
When I was about 5, my mom came in on me staring into the mirror, just in tears, just crying into the mirror. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm practicing crying." Like, it was the most natural thing in the world to do. So, needless to say, I do a lot of drama where I do a lot of crying. So I've been practicing since 5.
It was just natural for you to start doing that. So, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And so you started, so you know, when we met in class, you said it was 10 years ago, but before that, you'd already started doing a few things, right? So how was that? Like, when did you really start going like into it as a career?
Well, I went from high school where I did drama in high school, and then I went into at U of H. I studied theater, acting, directing, and from there I started going more into film. I just started realizing that there wasn't a whole lot of roles out there for someone that looked like me back then in the early 2000s when I started college. And even in college, it was difficult to, I was there paying tuition like everyone else, but it was difficult to get in the door, to get on stage even then when it was a learning environment. And then outside in the world, there was just, very little chance of me getting anything. I would go into auditions, and I would get a lot of great feedback from directors. People would be just like, "Oh my God, you did such an amazing job," and blah, blah. And at first I was, touched, and I was like, wow, I might get this, they really enjoyed my work. And then after several times of that happening and me not booking the role, I realized, oh, they're doing that because I'm not going to book it, because they know they're not going to cast me because I'm not what they, envision for that character for whatever reason. So they're reaching out to me before I leave to tell me how great I did. Because usually you would tell someone how great they did by booking them or by casting them in the role.
Correct.
Obviously, you did a great job, but since they knew they weren't going to cast me, they would, reach out to me and tell me about how great I did in the audition. So I started realizing that theater wasn't really going to get me where I wanted to go. So me and my husband bought a camera. We started doing films on our own, making our own films. This was before content creators, before digital, everything was digital, we were using in our first thing ever was like this big camera with the VHS tape in the camera,
Yeah, yeah,
and then we moved to the little tapes, the little tape decks, and then slowly but surely we started going into digital and everything. But yeah, we just started off as just creating things for myself, small short films, and
yeah,
then I started to create things for other people. And I just started realizing there was other people that also wanted, footage for themselves as a startup actor or whatever, or starting out, or someone like you who is seasoned but wants something new to show on their reel. So then I started creating the indie film workshop,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
something we worked on together,
So
which
much
is
fun.
super fun. I love that.
Yes,
Those two films we
yes.
did together were so much fun.
They were, they
Um,
were. Yeah,
and so then yeah, that's how I sort of got started into film, kind of getting my feet wet. And there still wasn't a whole lot, back 20 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot for someone that looked like me, even in film. But I was getting auditions, I was doing, commercials, industrials, very few. And then, in 2020, when COVID hit and shut everything down, well, I shouldn't say just because of 2020, because I did Yellowstone in 2019, which I think was very lucky. That was like my first time I did any co-star TV role. That was my very first TV role, major TV role, and I think it was very lucky that I did it in 2019, because then in 2020, when the tide started to turn and people really started to pay attention to the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of diversity on television and on film, and people started to speak out and ask for more. I was there, ready with my little Yellowstone co-star, reel, my little bit of footage that I had from Yellowstone, and I was able to get an LA agent with that little Yellowstone co-star. And from there, with my LA agent, I've been able to get Dark Winds and Grey's Anatomy, which was a big one, and 1923 now. So yeah, it
yeah,
all started with the my little Yellowstone co-star right at
yeah.
the right time. I think a perfect time where tides were starting to change.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, going back to that to the indie workshops that you're creating. When I came to you for that, I believe I came to you first for to ask if you could help me re-edit a demo that I had. And then when you spoke to me about this opportunity, I just thought it was brilliant the way that you created it, because you're functioning as a writer, as a director, you're coordinating things, you're getting the actors together, and we're creating such fun material, working on it. I think that's very innovative and very enterprising of you and Art to do that, and so I only have to say that ever since I've known you, you're one of the most hardworking, talented people that I've ever known, because you are nonstop. Definitely. And you're there. You have the goods. You are definitely a great actress. I mean, that scene that we did together in class, I just, you feel when you're working opposite someone that gives you something, and that you're really creating something electric, and it just works. It's amazing. So for me to see you right now in all these roles that you're doing, and I want to ask you also, just from that agent that you had, but if you've done something else, like within your reach out and your branding or your marketing, that has helped you, because you're in a very, very specific niche, and because you are prepared, you have the goods, you have all that experience, you have the disposition and all that, and you were just so ready. I mean, the stars aligned for you, and everything was ready because you were in that mindset, and you had prepared the road to finally enter into that success that was out there for you, and you're doing it so well that
Thank you.
I've I've talked about you as an example to other people. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, look at Amelia, and just telling about how when you do the work and you're there and all the elements are ready, then success will come. But it does take patience and it takes hard work. But I'm so happy that finally, with this diversity being opened up, and it's not only that they have more diverse roles, is for the people that are diverse but that are good actors, that have everything ready and set, the experience, and that have their goals ready and they know where they want to go. It's not just, hire me because I'm different. No, but what's behind you? Are you ready for that
right,
moment? That's the most important thing. So,
right.
going back to that question, have you done anything different with, besides getting the LA agent? Have you hired a publicist, or how are you being able to just get ready and open up that avenue for yourself?
Sure. I've been following a casting director from LA who does a lot of self management for actors training. So
Uh-huh.
she has a book. Her name's Bonnie Gillespie. She has a book called
Mhm.
Self Management for the Actor. I recommend it for every actor, from startup actor to seasoned actor. It's just so many helpful ways to get you ready for that moment. So it's not just getting your headshot, getting you're going, and I know a lot of people think it's like networking and things. I mean, that is definitely part of it, but there's also your demo reel is something that's like, in this day and age, you have to have a demo reel. I mean, there's just no excuse not to have a demo reel, because even if you don't have any footage, you can just film yourself on your phone doing a monologue,
Yeah.
preferably not a monologue that's already out there, that's been done in a movie. Just something you self create would be probably more ideal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even something that if you've done an audition for, whatever, this or that, then you can use that for your demo reel. So there really is not too much of an excuse anymore to not have a demo reel. That's sort of, I think they assume, already if you have a demo reel, you're in a different, category. And if you don't, then it's like, you're less likely to be seen.
Yeah.
And then there's just managing yourself with your time management, not getting too fussy with like, oh well, I can't, bring out my website because of this or that, or getting too specific on the details. Like, really just what she says is launch at 85%. So if your website's 85% done, just launch it, like get it out there. And making sure that you're making the connections that are going to be best fit for you as an actor. The most important, I think, thing I learned from her is definitely your bullseye. Like, what is your bullseye? So what problem do you solve for the casting director? So a lot of, like I said earlier on, when I was going into these auditions, and they loved me, but they were never going to cast me. And, you know, some people may give up. Some people may think, oh, it's just never going to happen for me. I'm too brown. I'm too fat. I'm too short, whatever. The ideas that would come into my head for that. But then you start thinking, no, okay, so maybe I am too brown, too fat, too short, whatever, for that role. But if I go to the room next door where they're casting, the best friend, or where they're casting, the nurse, or you start realizing there's a role for me, what I look like today. So I don't have to lose weight. I don't have to, I mean, not that you don't have to be healthy, but
Sure.
I don't have to I don't have to wait for me to lose 10 pounds in order for me to get headshots. I don't have to wait, for whatever, me to get my teeth fixed, or whatever things are holding you back from moving forward, to get your headshots, to get your demo reels, to get all these things done for yourself. There's always that, like, oh well, I just need to lose 10 more pounds and then I'll go and get my headshots. Well, just do it, because there's a role out there for what you look like today, who you are today, and you have to just figure out what problem you solve. And if you
Mhm.
go into the right rooms, you'll start getting more opportunities, more yeses, and less disappointing roles like the way I was getting. I was just going into the wrong rooms was the problem early on in my career. When I
Yeah.
started realizing, okay, so I don't solve that problem, I solve this problem, that's when things really started clicking. And another thing, which is sort of more of a personal thing for me, is that I really started to go into my personally, not for my acting, but just personally started going into my ancestry and like figuring out. That was just something that I've always been curious about, is my ancestry, because as Latinos, we're all raised, we're Mexican, or we're, you know, whatever South American country that you're from, or that your grandparents were from, or whatever, and you start believing that that's your sole identity. But South America and Central America and Mexico, all that is integrated with Spanish culture. And a lot of times you have that, the indigenous people there integrated with the Spanish and
Yeah.
created, yes, something new, but that's still a part of you. The indigeneity is still a part of us, a lot of us. And I started to realize, even though I, grew up in a Mexican side of town in San Antonio, and most of the kids at my school were Mexican. I was always made fun of because of my slanted eyes, because of my straight black hair, because I was a little bit darker, this or that, and I started to feel like I didn't belong, even within my own Latino group of people, that I was always around. And so then I just really needed to delve deeper into my ancestry, and I started to, do ancestry.com and figure out what my identity was, like, as for myself, just for myself. And then when I started to go deeper into my identity and deeper into my ancestry, that opened up more for my career, because then I started to really realize who I was. Without
Uh-huh.
knowing who I was, I didn't know what problem I solved, so it all
Sure.
went back to, what problems you solve, what rooms do you need to go into. You have to know who you are, what boxes you check.
Yeah.
And one of the big ways Bonnie Gillespie teaches us to do that is, we take a picture of ourselves, just a plain picture of us looking at the camera, and one
Uh-huh.
looking to the side. And we can test our friends or whatever, just send those pictures out and be like, what do these pictures convey? What do you think? Do you think this person's a bitch? Do you think this person is nice? Do you think they're bubbly? Do you think they're seedy? Do they look caring? Do they look mischievous? So you check all these sort of boxes of adjectives for yourself, and you start realizing, oh, okay, so I'm sort of fitting into this vibe of, like, for me, I was getting mother, I was getting nurse, I was getting, caretaker, I was getting someone who worked for, like CPS or something like that, so
Yeah.
someone, so I was getting these kinds of feedback from people for my headshots. So then I started realizing, okay, so then I can start going for these kinds of roles, and that sort of just took off. And then you start realizing, this is where I belong, and then this is where I'm going to get the yeses.
Yeah, absolutely. And in light of that, we're going to play your demo now so they can see exactly all the roles that you have been booking. So here's Amelia.
What do you want?
I'm Officer Emanuelito with the Tribal Police.
What do you want?
Does Sally Growing Thunder live here?
No.
Do you think you can save the placenta for me?
Of course.
We're taught to bury it on Squamish land. So she always knows where her home is. I can't do this.
You can and you will.
Yeah, you're almost there.
Thanks for the help. I've had run-ins with a few of these fellas in the past. Northside Nation.
Yeah, took down a faction in Austin once, though those arrests lacked tonight's pizzazz.
I'll be sure to make note of that. We have space in the cruiser to take the kids back to the hotel, but we're a few seats short.
I got shot and you leave with the fact that I fainted? What the hell's the matter with you?
Mr. Gray, sir, you'll be fine once they treat you at the hospital.
No hospitals.
No, sir, you were in a mass shooting, you're in shock. You definitely require medical attention.
No hospitals, okay?
Actually, it's not a mass shooting. Only 3 people got shot, and it takes 4 people to be mass.
Yeah, but the shooter also got shot. That's 4 people, so yeah, it's a mass.
No, the shooter doesn't count.
All of those are fantastic roles. All those opportunities that you had are just great, and there's more and more of those. Do you think that besides knowing yourself and knowing which rooms you're going to go into, it's also a question of having a good conversation with your agent and saying, hey, because of course you can self-submit. You can look at the keywords and everything and self-submit a lot of that, but you still have to have your agent negotiate the contract and everything else. And also have that talk with your agents and say, hey, look, you know what? I think the types of roles that you've been sending me to are probably not exactly what I fit for, because I haven't been booking, I've been working on my branding, on knowing myself. And these are the types of roles that I would like to see more coming my way. Can you help me out? And right, there's ways to talk about that. And of course, I think an agent will be happy to have that conversation because they want you to book. They want to.
It's
right?
definitely beneficial for both parties.
Of course, and offering a
a
whole
lot of actors
bunch
are
of people.
kind of afraid. Yeah, sorry, but a lot of actors are kind of afraid to talk to their agents. I noticed that younger actors, they're like, oh, I don't know if I should tell them, how to do their job. It's like, well, you're working together. You're trying to do something together. So it's definitely beneficial to have both of you on the same foot.
Yeah. For sure. I think definitely agents are happy when you work on your own branding and marketing and just be very specific of how you present yourself and what you're good for. And you have that either on your Instagram or your Twitter or wherever your social media, whatever platform you mostly are on. Because job seekers, this is also good for or true for voiceover, but also for on camera. They're going to want to see you in every aspect of your life, and then they'll go and they'll check your Instagram and see, your just casual selfies or your family pictures or whatever you in any X situation, and then that will spark an idea and oh, okay, I think that she'd be good for this role or for that role, or it just helps a lot to see all of that. So definitely have that conversation with your agent, right? I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah, definitely. You have the conversation with yourself first and then have the conversation with your agent. Because, the other thing is you should be just truthful and honest. Yes, it would be great to play Juliet, to play the ingenue. Those are the dream roles. But if you're not going to be, filling those roles, if people aren't going to cast you as the Juliet role, you're just going to lead yourself to heartache, continuing to try to strive for the ingenue roles when you could easily, play the best friend or play the, whatever other character you probably better fit. So that's one of the things that I realize, even especially for women, is that while working like with the Indie Film Workshop and working with other actors, is that a lot of the times, we try to fit a certain box that we think is the ideal, and if you're just broaden that horizon, broaden your own perspective on what problems you solve, I think that's beneficial for you for your career. So it does, you don't have to look 29. you can be whatever age, you don't have to, there are a lot of actors, they put like this age range that is like 15 years. Don't do that. 5-year age range, just narrow it to a 5-year age range.
Absolutely.
The more specific you are, the better, the more likely you'll hit that bullseye. You need to be very specific with everything, with your headshots, your demo reel. It all needs to kind of go into the same same little bullseye there. You're hitting that same bullseye, so you're not just shooting everywhere. You want to make sure that all your media, everything, all your tools are going in the same direction.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you have to have all those like marketing materials ready.
Yeah, all your marketing materials. Yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
to be over photoshopped, because if you're
Yeah.
over photoshopped, you look like you're 25 and you walk in the room and
And you do
don't
not look like
that.
your headshot. So then what's the point? Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
shooting yourself on the foot there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've heard casting directors say that a lot, like I've overheard them say, yeah, so and so came in and they do not look anything like their headshot. I mean, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
They don't like that. They want you to come as is. They want you to always present yourself and in the pictures. And of course, as time goes by, yes, we have a little bit more wrinkles here and there, but there are roles for every age, and you have to be
Look
honest.
at Helen Mirren,
Oh my gosh.
She's
I mean,
still out there doing all kinds of roles.
all kinds of roles. How was it? Please tell me to be there. And you're in those pictures with Harrison Ford on one side and Helen Mirren. And I would be on cloud 9 right there,
Yes. I was acting very cool, very down to earth, but yes, it was very exciting to meet them both. Harrison is a big, kind of role model for my husband, so that was an especially big moment for him. So I was just honored to be able to give that that experience to him, because he was completely on another planet.
Wow.
He
Oh
was
my
just
gosh.
floating on air the whole night, because
Yes.
that was something he shared with his late father. So that was exciting for him to meet Harrison. And I mean, of course, I love Harrison as well. So, and Helen, she was just so sweet. They were both very, very, very nice people. I couldn't have been happier with the whole experience, just being able to talk to them, have dinner with them, and
Wow.
and just be friendly. Like it wasn't at all like, oh, you're a star and I'm just this measly little actor.
Yeah, you can't
to
be
me, it
geeking on
kind of
them
felt
like-
like that, but
Yeah.
they did not. They didn't make it feel awkward or anything. We were just equals, sitting, having dinner, talking. So that was a lovely experience to have with them both.
Oh my goodness. And so tell us about just like in 1923, there was 8 episodes, correct? Or is there going to be, if there's going to be another season for 1923?
There is. There's a second season planned. I think they start filming in the summer for that season, for the second season.
Okay.
So definitely, it ended in a cliffhanger. So we're all waiting.
Definitely did.
With bated breath.
So without giving anything away from the story and your character, I mean, you have some very powerful scenes there, but your character will not be in the following season. But I am so happy, and I really want people who has, those of you who are listening and that have not seen the series, you have to, because it's amazing. So a lot of what you do there, you've learned how to speak in the Native American tongue. I mean, and there's several of them. So how did you do that? I mean, who was helping you or coaching you with that?
So for 1923, I had a language coach, a language consultant. Her name is Birdina Realbird. We call her Birdie. And she was our Crow language consultant, and I spent a lot of time with her just hanging out, just because I was out in Montana for weeks at a time, and really with not much to do in a very small town of Montana, so there's really not much to do at all. So we would often just hang out together, because she didn't like to eat alone, and I liked having company to eat as well, so we would go and have dinner, and we did have moments where we would sit and when I had to do Crow language, and even when I was speaking English, I wanted to make sure I had a proper accent for my English voice as well. So I did spend a lot of time with her, just kind of listening to her own accent, and also just online listening to other people's accents that were from the Crow tribe, and she would listen to my Crow when I spoke Crow. She would listen to us and have us repeat and have correct any little difference or any little syllable or whatever that we were mispronouncing. And so she spent a lot of time. She was very, very, very specific with that, and I'm very grateful to her for that, because that was very helpful, just to have already. We had the Crow language down. All we had to do was do the acting. But the thing is with what she describes, how she describes the Crow people, is that when they speak, they don't have a lot of inflection or like intonation. A lot of that sort of how you're acting. How do you act while you're speaking Crow? They a lot of how they speak is sort of not monotone per se, but it is a little bit on the flatter side. So it's not there's not a lot of peaks and valleys. And it's not super melodic, so I had to be very careful, even when I'm speaking English, to be very, if you notice when I'm speaking,
subdued.
I'm very kind of subdued, and I don't have a lot of peaks and valleys when I'm speaking. My speaking voice isn't melodic at all.
You're right.
So that was very helpful with her. With Dark Winds, we had Sheldon was our Navajo consultant, and he just sort of gave us the Navajo. He would speak it for us and give us like a little clip of it, and that's pretty much all we got for that one. So that one was a little bit more difficult. I mean, he was on set, so we could ask him questions if we had a little difficult time or anything, or if we had any questions. But he didn't stop us or anything. So hopefully, I know some of the fans were some of the Navajo fans weren't too keen with some of our Navajo. I'm not sure about my Navajo, but I think for the most part, our Dene was pretty good on that one. But we had a little bit less help, or a little bit less specific help, than with Birdie. Birdie was very specific. She's like, oh, it's got to be not
I know. Oh, that's so interesting. I mean, really, to learn, two completely new languages, and the mannerisms and everything are also, I think, quite subdued. It's like they're always calculating everything around them, just taking like a lot more in touch with nature, right? And a lot more like paced and stuff. And then when they speak English, at least from what I've also seen on other shows, like the English that was on Netflix, it's like two words, not here, or, don't know, or whatever. Instead of a complete sentence, it was only a response of a couple of words here
that
and
was
there.
one thing that we had to be very careful with, is that we didn't want it to, fall into any kind of stereotype of, how Hollywood has previously portrayed Native Americans to be, sort of simple, or to make them seem like they don't know what they're talking about. They're very intelligent. They're, for one, speaking a second language. So right here, they're not speaking their native tongue if they're speaking in English. So then, that would be one reason why they would speak in simpler terms rather than in full sentences.
Sure.
And then, like with Crow, they're very monotoned. So when they speak in English, it may sound sort of strange to the American ear, because in American, we have all these sort of melodic tones to us. So then, but I had to be very careful, because there was a fine line between, doing it, how a native Crow would speak, and then kind of falling into this stereotype of like, how they have a Native American speak in Hollywood, old Hollywood films,
Yeah.
And then Dene is
exactly.
different, because they're a different tribe and they have different ways of speaking. So they're not as, they don't have that same problem of being, very monotoned, or I shouldn't say problem, but that same, that aspect to their voice or to their language, that it's very monotoned. They, with that one, I think we felt a little more comfortable being, more expressive with our voice.
Okay.
Than with the Crow. Crow, it was very specific. And then the director would come to us and be like, "No, we need you to, give a little bit more, oomph, or give a little bit more, emotion, or And it's like, oh, but Bertie told us not to. So then there was, you know, you kind of have to go between what's maybe more authentic and then something that's just more theatrical for the, you know,
I
for the
mean, you
show.
got to make it work for TV. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, not going a far away too much from what it is, but you do need to make it more,
Yeah.
you know, interesting for, you know, like
Interesting,
for people to really get engaged with it. So, but no, I think that's wonderful. So what's next for you now? You know, which of the shows are you going to be on Dark Winds again, or what's coming up for you?
You know, I've just been auditioning. I've had a lot of opportunities that are sort of coming my way, and that I can't speak too much about. But yeah, I'd go back to Dark Winds. I'm not sure if they're having me back. They're not having me back for this next season, unfortunately. But you know, you never know. I'm a witch, so you
There
never
you
know. I
go.
might pop back up on a later season. Definitely, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm putting it out there to the producers.
Yeah.
It's still a possibility. You
Oh,
never know.
trust me, you've been in several things already. So yeah, and you're someone that they know works well and is a professional and just does whatever you need to do. You know, I mean, you're there. And how about your kids? I mean, I know Alejandra was starting to do some things, and right. So what are they
Yeah,
doing?
she's been getting such great opportunities. You know, definitely better ones than I got at her age. I mean, she hasn't booked it. She's booked a couple of commercials, but as far as like major roles, she's been able to audition for some amazing. I mean, that alone, you know, if you're an actor and you're watching this, you know, celebrate your auditions, celebrate your callbacks, celebrate your opportunities just as much as your bookings, because that to just be invited into the room
Oh yeah,
is on its own as something to celebrate. And
for sure.
you know, she got to audition for Sweet Tooth on Netflix, which I
Oh,
love that show. That show is so amazing. And she got to audition for like I'm pretty sure it was it was Andor. It was quite a few years back.
okay.
And we're waiting to see what it was because it was shrouded in mystery when we auditioned for it, of course, because it was a Marvel or it was a Star Trek, not Marvel, so it was a
It's Star
Star Trek
Wars.
thing, but it just said untitled Disney project is what it was
Yeah,
called at the time.
yeah,
And then we realized, you know, now that it's come out, it was Andor that she had auditioned for.
yeah.
And that one she got a call back for. So she was,
Ah,
we were all very excited for her because she did, and she got a call back for Sweet Tooth as well. But yeah, so she's had a lot of great opportunities, a lot of great callbacks. She hasn't, you know, crossed the finish line just yet, but she's only 10. So
I mean, come on.
with that much already at 10,
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, there'll be
Oh, it'll happen.
something is bound to hit.
Definitely. Yeah, it'll happen. And she has mom to know, you know, to talk her through, you know, it's, if this opportunity didn't come, it's okay. Your role will come. You know, each audition gets you closer to the one that is the job for you. So, it's the process, you know, and the job is the auditioning, you know, that is the job. So,
Yeah, auditioning
right.
is definitely part of the job. Yeah, people
Yeah.
forget about that.
No, booking
Auditioning
is the
part of
icing on the
job.
cake, right? If
Yeah,
you book it, I mean,
booking
it's
is.
that's icing on the cake. I mean, but yeah, you have to be preparing for those auditioning opportunities. So, anyway, so where can people find you, Amelia? I mean, of course, I'm gonna link to your Instagram account, but tell us where people can find out more about you, about the things that you've been doing, also for Main Street Theater with the digital theater as well. Then you got nominated and you won, right? Did you win an
Yeah.
award? I think you did.
Yeah, I
Yes.
did. The Book of Magna, I was very fortunate to be able to direct that for them in 2021 when, you know, theater was shut down due to the pandemic. I was uniquely qualified to direct this beautiful play because I not only had, you know, done theater quite extensively and studied theater in the past, I also was a filmmaker and did a lot of their promo videos. Me and Art did their promotional videos throughout the years since like 2000 and I don't know 10 or something, 2009. So I had quite a few years of just doing projects for them, you know, contract projects for them, and then this opportunity to do a digital play because theater was shut down. We weren't able to have a live audience. They knew they were just going to have it online. streaming, they asked me to come in and direct that. And because it's online, because it was a streaming, I was able to, submit it to a lot of festivals, theater festivals. And we got into two of them. So that was really exciting to be able to be a part of that. Actually, I think it was three, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. The one was early on and then two just recently. So to be a part of that and to just put out, more content, diverse content. I've been working closely with Main Street Theater these past couple of years, along with Sloan Teagle, their one of their new staff members, to just get more diversity behind and in front of and on stage rather, behind the stage and on stage, and to just open up more opportunities for everyone, designers, actors, theater goers, even
everybody. Yeah.
So I'm really proud of the work we've been doing as a theater, to just get more, just more perspectives out there. Right now they're right now they're doing The Oldest Boy, but by the time this plays, I'm sure that'll be over. But they're doing a lot of great work.
And do you think there's going to be more of this digital type of theater in the future, or no?
No, I think it was just a very, very specific time where, we were all.
It was the only way to do to watch theater, right? At that point,
watch theater for sure.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky to be able to be a part of that because everything was shut down. And there were very few streaming opportunities out there because very few theaters had the ability to do that at the time. Then I got to get reviewed by the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times because there wasn't a whole lot of content out there, and so we were lucky enough to be one of the few people that still had content out, and we were able to get the theater out there in those huge publications. So that was very fortunate, and I was honored to have been a part of that for that reason alone.
No, that's amazing. And so where can people find you then? That you're on your website, you have all the information as part, as much as your social
so my
media?
website's ameliarico.com, and I'm very I'm an Instagram person, so I do mostly Instagram. I do have a Facebook, a public, actor Facebook page. But mostly I do things on Instagram. I always forget to update my Facebook. I'm like, oh yeah, I should have probably put that also on Facebook. But yeah, if you want to see more of my work, something that's new, all my newer stuff, it's going to be on Instagram more likely. And then there's my website, ameliarico.com. On Instagram, I'm at Amelia Rico Films.
Okay, perfect. And so one more thing. So I always like to ask my guests what is a thing that they recommend. And you've also already given a few tips, regarding marketing and all that. But what is one thing that you want to say to people that are, actors that are maybe kind of stuck in their career and they want to advance? What is one thing that you would have wanted to hear when you started out that you think might help them?
That you are exactly how you need to be. That you do not have to change who you are. Just discover yourself, discover who you are, and you'll succeed. Just keep trying with yourself as yourself. Go out into the world as yourself, and then your abundance will come.
And that is beautiful. That is beautiful and so accurate, because it's authenticity what is right now the most valued thing that there is, at least, that's what a lot of people say, casting directors and everything that I've heard say, is they just want people to be authentic, and just be yourselves, because there are opportunities for everyone. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Amelia, for talking to me today. This was amazing. It was great to catch up with you.
Yes, it's lovely to talk to you. It's been so long, Nikki.
Yes, we have to change that for sure. Maybe
Yes.
another indie film workshop, coming soon on a computer near you. So we have to do that. Wonderful. Okay, Amelia. Well, I'll put all the links in the show notes, and everyone, listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being here on season 8 of La Pizarra, and just stay tuned for more things, more wonderful episodes to come, just like this one with the wonderful Amelia Rico.
Thanks for joining us on La Pizarra. Want to listen to more episodes? Visit lapizarrapodcast.com or nickymondellini.com/La Pizarra, where you can sign up for our newsletter and get exclusive previews of future episodes, as well as resources for your creative business. Tune in next week for another interesting interview.